Jiahao used to live the life that many people dream of. He is the chief engineer of a large company. The salary is high and the job is stable. Prestigious status. Every morning, he drove his car through a busy street. Enter the high-rise building. Hundreds of employees moved forward with their heads bowed. Important meetings. A contract worth a lot. Praise from superiors. All convinced him that he was on the right path. But life is unpredictable. When the storm comes, he came without warning. People don't have time to prepare. This day, Jiahao has just completed an important project. He sat in his office drinking coffee, thinking about going home early to have dinner with my wife. The phone on the table vibrated a little. It was a message from the Human Resources Department. Mr. Jiahao, there is an emergency meeting. You are invited to attend. His heart was full of uneasiness, but he told himself, nothing to worry about. Walk into the meeting room. The atmosphere was eerily heavy. Director of Human Resources and several C-level supervisors. Sit there. The face is expressionless. Mr. Jiahao, the personnel manager came over with a document. We're sorry, but the company decided to start today. Terminate your employment contract. Jiahao was shocked, buzzing in the hands. He picked up the stack of papers, reading line by line lifelessly. If you violate the company's internal regulations, do not meet the job requirements. What the hell is this? Her voice was hoarse. I've been working here for 10 years. Contributed a lot. Now you only use a piece of paper that has already taken effect. Just kicked me out. The voice was cold. It's as if everything was already arranged. Jiahao doesn't remember. How did I leave this building? Colleagues looked at him. Some have their heads down. Some pretend to be busy. No one dared to come near him. I understand. Everyone is afraid to get involved. In this company, as long as there is interest, there will be loyalty. He drove home. The brain went blank. Door 1, open. Yuding ran out to meet him and looked at him with worried eyes. Why did you come home so early? Jiahao stood there, looking at this woman who has been with her for so many years. Her throat tightened. I'm unemployed. That's a short sentence. It's like a bomb landed in the middle of this cottage. Yuding paused. Then he stepped forward, shook her husband's hand. It's okay, I'll think of something else. But they don't know. The real storm has just begun. In the first 2 months, Jiahao tried to show calmness. He has submitted his resume to dozens of companies. Pick up the phone and call an old acquaintance. But the situation is not as simple as he thinks. No one wants to hire someone who is nearly 40 years old. He has held a high position. An engineer who was fired for unknown reasons. Savings are getting dwindling. Every month's electricity bill, rent, and living expenses are on time. It doesn't matter if the landlord is in crisis or not. 3 months, 4 months. 5 months we will keep in touch with the promise. It became a meaningless rhetoric. Soon after, Jiahao started working as a part-time waiter in a small restaurant, busy with main work during the day. In the evenings, they work overtime. When the waiter is surprising, Jiafu strongly objected. I'm here. Why do you have to work so hard? You just smiled sadly. What about you? Are you just sitting there waiting for the company to call you back? This sentence is like a knife. Directly pierced his self-esteem. That day has finally come. The landlord knocked on the door, holding a note in his hand. It says that the rent is 2 weeks overdue. Due to the lack of money, his family had to leave. In desperation, they moved into a small, damp room. A rental house with old water stains on the walls. Every time it rains heavily, the roof will leak. The water will run down. Jiahao dedicates himself wholeheartedly to any job that can make money. He is no longer an engineer. Now he works as a porter, a construction worker, a manual laborer. One day, his hands were under the scorching sun, carrying cement for hours on end. And it bleeds. But the worst thing is not unemployment, nor is it poverty. The saddest thing for Jiahao, it's still Yuding's eyes. In those sleepless nights, they dream of a complete family, longing to have a child, and save every penny for infertility treatment. Now even thinking about it is a luxury. Pill test. Hopes and disappointments. Everything seems pointless. Once, Yuding looked at him. The voice trembled a little. Do you regret it? Jia Hao did not answer immediately. He looked out the window. The streetlights shine in. Light and shadow flicker. Do you regret it? The fish asked again. No, Jia Hao replied. But I felt helpless. One day, when Jia Hao thought, when I have fallen to the bottom of despair, fate pushed him down a different path. A path he never thought of. That morning, he walked past a pile of music on the side of the road. His life changed forever. The sky was gray. A cold wind blows. Thin clothing stings the skin. Jia Hao walked on the empty road with his head down. The mood is heavy. He had just applied for a job as a porter, but it was rejected. Because he's too old. Not used to work. The last coins in my wallet are gone. I don't even know what to eat tonight. As he passed by a garbage dump on the side of the road, a foul stench made him frown. In the midst of that chaotic scene, stray dogs searched for food in plastic bags. Something unusual caught its attention. An old cardboard box damaged by water, stuffed in a garbage heap. At first it didn't care, but then a faint voice sounded. He stopped. No way. He pricked up his ears again to listen to another voice. This time it's clearer. It's crying. His heart was pounding. Did someone put the cat in the Lucolor bucket? Or maybe there's a critter that stuck. He didn't hesitate any longer. Hurry up and push open the color bag. The box was opened with trembling hands. Then they had 4 more children. Wet box. His chest tightened. 4 small figures huddled together and lay there. The skin was frozen purple. They were hastily wrapped in old, dirty wet cloths. No diapers. There is no clothing to cover the body. They were thrown away like lace. An electric current came down his spine. He was numb all over. He stammered and said that heaven and earth are man. A child stretches slightly. The little hand waved weakly. Breathing is intermittent. They grew out of the way. He looked around. No one. The streets were deserted. No trace of anyone who left them was found. His breath was rapid. He said he was going to call the police. Let the authorities take care of it. It was too late to scream again. If 1 minute late, they may not survive. Jia Hao didn't say a word. Take off your coat. Hold all 4 children in your arms. The warmth that emanates from the body. Only him. In order to maintain their weak vitality. He jumped up and rushed to the nearest medical station. The wind whipped his face. It rained heavily. Sweat ran down the back of his neck. But he didn't stop. Every gasp for the kids. It all made his chest burn. He ran to the other street. Another intersection. The hospital is just around the corner. Avoid emergency doors. He shouted, while rushing through the glass door of the clinic. Nurses and doctors rushed in. A paramedic takes the bag from him. When seeing small animals, when a newborn baby is abandoned in the rain, there was a shocked look on his face. Come on. The group rushed into the emergency room. Jia Hao fell to his knees. The heart was still pounding. Dyspnea. The chest rises and falls. It was as if I had just run a dozen kilometers. A few minutes passed. It's like centuries have passed. A doctor walked out. Mask off. His gaze was serious. You saved them in time. But they are very weak. Hypothermia. Severe dehydration. There are signs of premature labor. Jia Hao nodded. Clench your hands. Are the kids okay? The doctor sighed. We'll do our best. But we must monitor for at least 48 hours to determine the results. Jia Hao was silent. My heart tightened. Soon. Yu Ting rushed into the waiting room with a pale face. You called me in the middle of the night and told me to come over quickly. What the hell is going on? Jia Hao raised his head. His eyes were bloodshot. He spoke slowly. Yudig exclaimed. For babies. He nodded. Did someone leave them there? What the police say? Nobody knows. There are no cameras. There were no eyewitnesses. He turned his head to look. A glass cage in an emergency room. sparkles in pale white light. The figurines are lying there. Time passed silently. Yuting turned around. The voice trembled a little. What do you think? Jia Hao looked at his wife. There was a strange feeling in my heart. A strong urge. A feeling that transcends reason. He swallowed hard. Don't know what to eat. But he couldn't leave him alone. Yuting's voice gradually lowered. He closed his eyes. Took a deep breath. I know, but what if they die? If tomorrow the media will cover. The 4 children did not survive. Will you have peace of mind? He stopped. The image of the 4 small figures. It keeps popping up in my head. Outside, the light rain was still dripping. The wind was still cold. A crazy decision. An option with no turning back. But there is only one way ahead. Yuting bit her lip. His eyes were on his husband. If you're sure, I'll go with you. Jia Hao held his wife's hand. Hold it tightly. They have just crossed the boundaries of their old lives. Ahead is a stormy road. The doctor walks out of the emergency room. There was still a nervous look on his face. As soon as Jia Hao and Yuting saw him, immediately jumped up. What do you think? Jia Hao's voice was hoarse. It was as if I was about to run out of breath. The doctor replied, they are in stable condition. But the situation remains very fragile. All 4 babies had severe hypothermia. Weakness of the lungs. The immune system is barely developed. We have given them infusions and put them in an incubator. But they need to be monitored. Yuting covered her mouth with her hand. Hold back your crying. Her whole body was shaking. Half of it was because of anxiety. Half because of the huge shock. He never thought he would be in such a situation. Stand in the middle of the hospital. Worried about 4 strange children. It's as if they're their own children. Jia Hao squeezed his wife's hand. There was a pain in my heart. Will they be able to make it through? The doctor looked him straight in the eye. I don't lie to you. The chance of survival is 50%. If you can hold on for another 48 hours, the chances of recovery are greater. With that, he turned and walked away. The couple was left standing there without saying a word. Yuting sighed, wiped away tears. I can't go. May I? Jia Hao through the glass window. I saw some figurines lying in the incubator. Every faint breath could be the last. No, they can't leave. They spent the night in the hospital. Every little movement of the kids, it makes their hearts beat faster. Sometimes babies are frightened. Their fingers will tremble. The eyelids will tremble. Although the signs are faint. But there is a glimmer of hope. The next morning, the police came. A young lieutenant sat across from Mr. and Mrs. Jia Hao. We checked that. There is nothing unusual about the cameras in the area. We asked people around us. I didn't see anyone leave the children. Yuting looked at him. The voice grew quieter. Will we be able to find their loved ones? Officer Ruoxin shook his head. It's hard if there are traces of DNA. Or someone comes to claim the child. There may still be hope. If not, we'll be transferred to the Social Security Center. This sentence made Jia Hao's heart cold. He had heard that the orphanage was overcrowded. Children quarrel over food. And a few are exhausted. Overworked staff. Nor can they be given enough attention. He turned to Yuting and said we can't let them in. Yuting's eyes widened. What do you mean? We may not be rich, but at least they have a place to live. He said in a low and sharp voice. Yuting held her head. The law is not that simple. We can't adopt children easily. Besides, who would believe an unemployed couple stayed in a modest homestay? I can raise 4 children. But we won't give up. He gasped. Officer Lochin observed the 2 for a long time. He said calmly, the 2 of you can wait for the legal process while you are pending. Apply for temporary guardianship. But there will be a means check. Assess your ability to support you. And it's going to be very difficult. The postman said with a wry smile. Things are so difficult. It's not easy. They decided to fight hospitals. Ask for an interim support commitment. They didn't hesitate. Complex legal procedures were developed. They accepted each one. The residence was visited by a welfare officer. See the cramped room? He just frowned. But nothing was said. A few days later, for babies were removed from the incubator. They are weak, but it can breathe on its own. When you hold them for the first time, Yuding shuddered. The small body snuggled into his arms. It's as warm as a piece of a puzzle. Fill the void in his heart. Let's give them a name, Jia Hao said. His eyes never took off the critters. The fish thought for a moment. Laughed. That is true. The first one is Ha, because he's small, but as powerful as a river. Jia Hao nodded. Gently touch your child's little hands. Ji Qiang, because he needs a peaceful life. The third is Li Qing. I want him to be strong and wise. Jia Hao bent down. He was the last child. V, because he is vulnerable, but will shine in its own way. Ha, Ji Qiang. Asphalt V. From that day on, the 4 children are no longer abandoned creatures. They had a home. But Jia Hao and Yuding both knew. The real war has just begun. First night, after the 4 children were brought back to their rented rooms, Jia Hao and Yuding really realized what tiredness is. Xiaowen cried. Shi Qiang cried. Li Qing cried. Vi cried. Cries echoed in the small room, reverberate among the tattered walls. Start alone. The rest began to follow suit. Creates hunger, fatigue. A chaotic symphony of cold and bewilderment. Yuding laboriously stirs the milk. His hands are clumsy, because he had never taken care of a newborn baby before. Jia Hao hugged this, dropped it down and picked up another one. All night, both husband and wife were crying. Diapers are soggy. Hunger and restlessness spent in sleep. The next morning, Jia Hao staggered out to find a job, due to lack of sleep. His eyes were sunken. Pale face. I can't go home empty-handed today. The cost of milk, diapers, and rent all weighed on my shoulders. There is no time to wait for a better job. There's also no room for pickiness. He went to the wholesale market. People there hire workers on a daily basis. It's easy but hard work. Carrying rice bags. Handling crates. Pull the cart through. Chaotic crowds. Sweating, swollen hands, and back pain are fine. As long as there is, even a little. I also hope that all 4 children will be able to eat enough. In the evening, Jia Hao came back with a meager salary, but not before he could breathe a sigh of relief. The sight in front of him froze him. Yuding sat on the floor. The face is expressionless. Tears rolled down her cheeks. There were 4 children crying around him. And the whole body is hot. The rain stopped. What's the matter? He asked, and he looked up. Hoarseness. They had a fever. All 4 of them had a fever. Panic began to spread. Jia Hao rushed in, touched the forehead of each of them. Hands are hot. These little creatures are out of breath. Redness of the skin due to fever. Breathing is getting weaker. Ji Qiang snorted. Small hands waving in the air. It's like looking for something out of reach. Jia Hao held 2 children. Yuding hugged her 2 children. Straight to the nearest clinic. They ran through the streets panting. The baby's cry is like a knife. It stung their hearts. The doctor quickly agreed. He looked at each child one by one. Serious eyes. Viral infections. Premature babies have weak resistance. It must be closely monitored. They sit in waiting chairs. Clasp your hands. The heart is pounding. Watching every drop of the intravenous drip. Staring at each of the 4 children's frail faces. The fish cried. Jia Hao, I'm afraid. He didn't answer. Fear choked his throat. But he couldn't give up. They have chosen this path. There is no turning back. That night, they remained in the hospital. The eyes never took their eyes off their children. It wasn't until the morning that the doctor declared that the fever had subsided. They dared to breathe a sigh of relief. A few days later, all 4 were taken home. But the challenge doesn't end there. The financial turmoil has officially ended. The hospital's bills cost the little money that Jia Hao earned. Milk, diapers, medication every day that passes. The pressure is mounting. Jia Hao continued to be distressed. He does everything. Work as a porter in the morning. Afternoon as a construction worker. At night, wipe it open. Some days, I only had time and only slept for 2 hours. Yudig was not idle. He also washes and cleans for other people. Hang out all day with a basin of water and a brush. His hands were dry and red from the soap, but he never complained, no matter how tired or hungry you are. As long as you come home and see 4 little faces, you can sleep peacefully. All fatigue is gone. But then, they found out a truth that is more painful than everything. Don't drink bottled milk. Crying abnormally. Difficulty breathing in asphalt. Ruashin has been around for 3 months. Still no weight gain. Jiahao and Yuding took the child for a checkup. The doctor holds the test results in his hand. Serious eyes. All 4 children were severely malnourished. Xiaowen has symptoms of congenital heart disease. Jiqiang has digestive problems. Lung monitoring is required. Weak heart anemia. Jiahao is silent. His hands clench tightly. The nails are sinking into the skin. You tremble. So, can they live a healthy life? The doctor sighed. If there is enough nutrition, adequate medical care, there's still a chance. But if not, the sentence is not finished. They understand. If there is not enough money for treatment, everything will come to an end. Yuding burst into tears, hugged the 2 children tightly. Jiahao stood there as if he had been knocked out. For the first time in his life, he felt truly helpless. But he was not allowed to give up. Since they have chosen this path, no matter how hard it is, it's all going to go on. Even if you have to sacrifice everything. Also to save these 4 lives. Jiahao sat on the steps of the hospital. Hold your head in your hands. For months. For the first time, he felt his knees go limp. 4 children. Each has its own problems. Medication is required for nutrition. And time to recover. But they have nothing. Empty-handed. And their willfulness is being eroded every day. Yudig sat next to him. Clasp your hands. Try to restrain yourself from crying. He's been pretending to be strong for too long these days. But now, when the doctor says if there is no proper treatment, his child may not survive when. He felt like the whole world was falling apart. What do we do now? He asked, his voice shaky. Jiahao didn't answer immediately. It's dark. The veins on the temples flare. A thought flashed through his mind. If they don't insist on keeping these 4 children, maybe it won't get to this point. But soon, he dismissed the idea. If not for them, 4 children will freeze to death in the Lucé bucket. No one can blame them for their efforts. He stood up, red eyes due to lack of sleep. I'll make money. How will you do it? As long as there is money, anything goes. Subsequently, he didn't wait for Yuding to react. Jiahao rushed out of the hospital. Hurried footsteps. Like a fugitive. 2 days later, he returned home scarred. Ms. Yu ran out to meet him in a panic. His hand grabbed his arm. When he saw that one side of his face was swollen, and when the lips are torn, his eyes widened in horror. What did you do? Jiahao took off his dusty coat and walked into the room. He took on the most dangerous jobs. Loading the goods. Overnight driving for a smuggling syndicate. Even quarrels over work on the docks. I am fine. His voice was hoarse and tired. He threw a stack of money on the table. Ms. Yu looked at the money. He looked at her husband again. Do you make money this way? Jiahao did not answer. He knew it wasn't going to last. If he continues to work on these jobs in a hurry, he may not live to see him. For children growing up, we can't live like this forever. Yuding said in a choked voice. I don't want my children to grow up. There is one who risks his life every day to provide for the father. Jiahao closed his eyes. Place your head against the wall. He had never felt so helpless. But despite the toughness, time has passed. Xiaowen can turn over. Jiqiang can sleep every night without crying. Watching Yuding gently touch his belly, Li Qin chuckled. Ruashin began to make his first babbling sounds. Despite material scarcity, they are still growing. That's why Jiahao can't stop. He decided to go to school to get his truck driver's license. If you have a degree, you'll be able to find a more stable job. Although I have to stay up late for study and work. But he gritted his teeth and persevered. Yuding didn't stand firm either. He applied to work at a bakery near his home, learn how to make bread, and undertake additional work orders for the evening. Sometimes, he needs to knead the dough and coax the child. Online classes are also required. No one told them, but they understand. If they don't change, no one is going to help them through this crisis. A year later, Jiahao found his first job, is a truck driver. Moving is hard. It's a step forward on the road. But at least it's tough. No more dangerous, illegal work. The rain stopped and a small bakery opened on the corner. More and more customers. Because his cake is not only delicious, and it is condensed. Hey! The dedication of a mother who has lived through the toughest days. The 4 children are also starting to get stronger, although they are still weak. But they were already able to run and jump and laugh. One night, Jiahao has just returned from sending his children. I found Yuding sitting in the living room, surrounded by 4 children. You're back, the fish said. He nodded, smiled tiredly. The rain stopped and said softly, I thought a lot today. I think you're right. What's wrong? We may not be their biological parents, but from the day they opened their eyes, they are our children. Jiahao looked at the children. A warmth welled up in my heart. We will not give up. Right? He asked. Yu Ting shook her head. No way. 4 children crawled over. The little hand hugged Jiahao's leg tightly. Xiaowen looked up at him, smiling, his eyes shining like stars in the night. For the first time in his life, Jiahao felt all the pain, all the suffering, all the sacrifices have a meaning. The kids finally called him daddy. From that day on, they're no longer just a couple. Couples struggling in life. They became a family. The rain crackled against the tin roof. Plumps of water rose from the hut. The yellow light shone on the tiny faces. Clear eyes stared at Yuding. Every action of cutting the bread into small pieces. Slow, procrastinating. Choked. Yuding reminded. Hurry up and put the cake on the plate on the table. Quickly wiped the sweat from his forehead. Well, take it, Yuding said. Li Qing took a big bite. His cheeks bulged like a mouse. The vase sways to the beat. Clapping your hands on your thighs. The excitement did not notice in the slightest. Crumbs of bread fell on their clothes. Li Qing and Ruoxin slowed down a bit, but in the eyes of the two. But there was still a glint of excitement. In the corner of the kitchen, Jiahao took off his old baseball cap and hung it on the back of the chair. Today he moved the goods for 10 hours in a row. My back was soaked. Exhaustion all over the body. But when he saw the dining table, when the 4 children were chattering, all his tiredness seemed to be gone. Good boy, remember after eating. Brushing his teeth, his voice was low and warm. Yu Ting glanced at him. Why did you come back so early today? Jiahao pulled a chair and sat down. A smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. I just signed another contract for transportation. If all goes well, I can save some money next month. The rain paused. Look at the 4 children. They still laughed innocently. I don't know how my parents take care of their every meal. Every time you sleep. How much hardship it takes. You okay? He asked in a low voice. Jiahao nodded, but there was a hint of worry in his eyes. The financial pressure never goes away. Xiaowen's drug expenses. Qi Qiang's tonic fee. Asphalt and Ruoxin's kindergarten tuition. It's a heavy burden. We'll figure it out, he said, as if to reassure both himself and his wife. The fish did not speak again. He looked at the critter in front of him. My heart is very entangled, but I didn't regret it. Time flies. The days of struggle gradually let way. You move forward with small steps. Despite the small pace. But it's significant. Qi Qiang learned to ride a bicycle. Fell down a few times. But he gritted his teeth and got up. Pat the dust off your body. Ride it again. Xiaowen plays with dirt in the garden. Although the hands are dirty, but the smile is bright. Asphalt loves to read. If the heart is always attached to the parents, always want to be embraced, caressed. They are not rich, but every day is full of laughter. Until one day, the storm is coming again. A letter from the kindergarten requesting payment of tuition fees for the new semester. The fish looked at the numbers on the paper. Hands clenched slightly. That night, when all 4 children are asleep, he placed the envelope on the table. Jiahao picked it up and looked at it. Sigh, I don't have enough money. You nodded silently. They've been saving every penny. But there is still a lot of funding missing. You can receive more nighttime goods. Jiahao suggested. You've done too. It's over. Yuding immediately objected. We can't keep working so hard. Jiahao pondered. A bold idea began to burn in his mind. The next morning, he came to a small construction company. An old friend works there. He had heard that they needed a handyman to complete a project that will last for several months. Are you sure? The manager looked at Jiahao's profile, frowned. I have experience driving trucks, but working on a construction site is a different story. As long as there is a job, I'll learn. Jiahao replied with a firm look in his eyes. So, after driving for a few days in a row, he came to the construction site in the evening, handling materials, mixed cement, doing the heaviest work. Both hands are calloused, body aches, but he didn't dare to rest, because every time I go home, I saw Yuding sitting under the lamp, diligently sew old clothes for children. He knew he had no right to stop. One evening, Xiaowen walked into the kitchen with a crumpled piece of paper. Mom, I want to draw. The fish looked at the paper. It was a graffiti. The whole family stood in front of a large house. The sky is blue. Birds fly. What is it? Fish asked. Xiaowen said with a smile. This is our family's house. I'm going to paint beautifully in the future. Make a lot of money. Buy a bigger house for the whole family. Parents Yutian smiled. But when he looked at the clumsy painting, his heart sank. Even children understand. They live in poverty. He sat down. Hug your daughter. Kiss her soft hair. As long as we are with each other. Anywhere is home. Xiaowen nodded. But there was still an indescribable longing in the little eyes. That month, they toiled day and night. I finally scraped together enough for tuition. The first day of school, Ji Qiang ran into the school gate excitedly. Raise your hands in celebration of victory. Asphalt hugged his mother tightly. There was some timidity in his eyes. But then he timidly walked away. If your heart is jumping, the little hand pulled the corner of his brother's clothes. Smile brightly. Xiaowen was the last to let go of Jiahao's hand and fled. But before entering the classroom, he turned around and shouted at Mom and Dad. I'll do my best. The rain stopped, standing there. Tears glistened in the sun. Jiahao gently held his wife's hand. We did it, they say, but they all know. There is still a long way to go. Because these 4 children do not only need to be raised, they also need a future. And they will do everything to ensure this. In the evening, the setting sun falls on the alleys. The ancient walls are dyed a pale orange-yellow. In the cabin, the sound of an electric fan turning, mixed with the noise of 4 adult children. Now, there are no more children who fall every time. I'm going to call my parents. Xiaowen leaned against the window frame, fiddling with a paintbrush in his hand. Distant gaze. Lately, the girl has become much quieter. I don't like to talk much anymore. But this change can't escape Yuding's eyes. What's wrong? The girl looked back and hesitated. Then say, Mom, I want to study art. A breeze blew, with the residual heat of summer. Yudig looked at his son in shock. I have mixed feelings. When did you decide? I thought about it for a long time, but I've never dared to say it. Xiaowen clenched his fists. Nervous. I'm afraid to worry my parents. Jiahao put the water glass on the table, looked at her daughter intently. If that's what you really want, your parents will support you. Yu Ting bit her lip. I know it's hard times in our family. Tuition, drama, everything is expensive. Xiaowen lowered his head. I was very irritable. He knows this better than anyone. Ji Qiang sat in a chair. Suddenly, he said, if you want to draw, you can draw. As for the money, I'll find a way to help. All eyes turned to him. Li Qing nodded. It's not loud. but full of firmness. If Sister Xiaowen can live with passion, I also want to contribute. Joshin took his hand. Smile brightly. I can save my pocket money to help. Mr. Yu was silent. Watch the children support each other. I just feel nervous and proud at the same time. Jiahao sighed. He stood up and patted his daughter on the shoulder. We will find a way out when we grow up. No one will be abandoned. This home. From that day on, the whole family enters a new cycle. In order to earn extra income, Jiahao often works night shifts, drive across provinces. The journey lasted several hours. Several sleepless nights exhausted him. But whenever I think of Xiaowen's dream, he threw his exhaustion behind him. Yuding continued to expand his bakery. Learn new recipes. Spend all your time kneading the dough. Bake the cake and carefully wrap each cake on top. Although his hands continued to pave the way, bleeding in high temperatures, he still persisted. Shi Qiang couldn't sit still. He asked to work in a car repair shop. 3 days to school. Work at night. Get paid every time. He would put the money into his mother's hands. A simple word about the asphalt for Xiaowen. Help mothers manage their finances. Ruoxin began to become more independent. No more whining for a snack. Rather, parents are encouraged. Everything revolves around one goal. Help Xiaowen to be admitted to the gate of the Academy of Fine Arts. Exams are approaching. Xiaowen is almost immersed in painting. Each stroke carries the expectations of the whole family. Sometimes he was exhausted. Lie on the operating table. But he never wanted to give up. The night before the exam, Jiahao placed a box of fresh paint on the table. Daughter, I bought it for you. Xiaowen's daughter looked at this unexpected gift. Eyes wide open. Jiahao nodded. Parents can't give you everything. But at least it can be given to you, helping you stay on the right path. Xiaowen's tears fell one by one. The little girl hugged her grandmother. I'll do my best. As soon as the results are announced, Xiaowen stood at the school gate. See your name on the admission list. My heart was pounding. He burst into tears in the middle of the campus. It was the first dream come true in his life. The whole room was crying. Ji Qiang cheered. Asphalt smiled brightly. If the heart hugged him, he jumped and jumped. Yudi couldn't hold back her tears. Jiahao just stood, looked at his daughter with proud eyes. But that's not the end of the story. Because after the joy, and then the reality is, tuition fees are still a huge burden. Xiaowen decided to study and work at the same time. Jiahao works around the clock. Yuding expanded the bakery. Asphalt helps mom keep accounts. Jiqiang still sticks to his post in the auto repair shop. Ruoxin asked to work part-time at a small shop. Save money and subsidize your family. Everyone has their own job. But no one will give up. Because they understand. It's not just Xiaowen who has dreams. All 4 brothers are working for the future. A year later, Jiqiang relies on his excellent performance on the football field. Received an athletic scholarship. He doesn't have to worry about tuition anymore. It can even help the family. Liqing relies on his love for words. I was admitted to the literature major with a near-perfect score. Although Ruoxin is the youngest child in the family, but he is passionate about social work, helping those who are in a difficult situation like his family. The 4 brothers each went their own way, but it's all a journey of determination and hard work. One night, the whole family sits together, had a simple meal. Suddenly, Ruoxin said, Mom and Dad, later, we will definitely make your life better. Jiahao smiled. There was warmth in his eyes. Of the light. It's enough for you to live well. Xiaowen clenched her hand. Jiqiang patted his mother's back. Asphalt and Ruoxin also nodded in agreement. They know that the road ahead is still challenging. But one thing never changes. They are family. They will always have each other's back. The wind was cold and cut through the woods. With a faint scent of weeds, blow into the small house at the end of the street. The windows glow yellow. A warm glow shines in the quiet of the night. Jiahao sat on an old wooden chair on the porch. Look at the garden full of memories. Time spares no one. The once strong back is now slightly curved. Silver hair is thinning. Yuding walked out of the kitchen, a cup of hot tea in hand, gently placed it in her husband's hand. "Today is a special day," she whispered. The smile was as gentle as ever. Jiahao nodded. "Bring the teacup to your lips." There was a warmth in the palm of his hand. "How long has it been?" "From day one." And so they embarked on this stormy journey. At that time, I didn't dare to think that I would be able to go until now. At the end of the alley, the sound of a car engine can be heard. Jiahao and Yuding turned their heads at the same time. The eyes sparkled with expectation, childlike. The car stopped. The door opened. Xiaowen took the lead and walked down, carrying a cloth bag on his shoulder. A big smile appeared on the mature face. "Mom." Immediately after that, Jiqiang appeared. He was taller than before, stronger. Asphalt pulls down the trunk. The eyes sparkled with excitement. Finally, Ruoxin jumped out of the car. Energetic as always. "Keep waving your hands. For children are back." Jiahao jumped up, walked briskly to the door, picked up every child. The firm arm is still as familiar as it was in childhood. Yu Ting stood beside him. "Hold small with tears in your eyes." Wen's hand patted Jiqiang's cheek again, gently stroked the head of the asphalt, and he took his heart in his arms. "It looks like you've all grown up," Yuding said in a choked voice. The whole family gathers around the table. Familiar dishes are ready. Hot soup, fish stew. The aroma of stir-fry is mixed with happy laughter. Xiaowen talks about his latest exhibition. The paintings on display are full of childhood memories. Jiqiang talked about his work as a sports coach and how he helps children in need. Find your passion on the pitch. Li Qing talks about his first book, a new journey full of hope. The whole family sits together, share the joy, success, and dreams that are still underway. They know, no matter how many difficulties, they will always support each other, just like the first hard days. Mr. Qing is about to publish several touching books. Tell about a small family. Stories of struggling in the face of adversity. Xiaowen was very happy. Talk about him for time. Community programs to help vulnerable children like him. Jiahao listened quietly. His eyes were full of pride. He used to worry. Children who can't grow up healthy. Now they have become a strong and independent aspirants. After eating, the whole family went out into the courtyard. The night sky is full of stars. The breeze is blowing with the breath of memory. Xiaowen sat on the stairs, resting his head on his father's shoulder. My parents worked so hard for us. Yudig smiled, gently stroking her daughter's hand. With you, nothing hard work. Jiqiang put his hand on his father's shoulder. The voice is muffled. Have you ever regretted adopting 4 strange children? Jia turned around, gaze firm. From day one, my parents never regretted it. A second, Asphalt holds Mom's hand, gently shook it. With love. But if it weren't for my parents too, maybe our lives will be different. Ruoxin raised his head. Eyes sparkle. You give us more than just a place to live. You gave us back life. There was a moment of silence in the room. Yushin took a breath. The heart is warm. We've been through it all together. Jiahao said softly. Look at the sky in the distance. From that dirty autumn beach to this day, a warm home. All 4 children were silent. The images of the past are like slow-motion movies. Hungry days. A white night. Tears flowed silently. But in return, they depend on each other. Xiaowen stood up, brought the family closer a bit. After that, it was our turn to take care of our parents. Wu Tig smiled. The laughter was filled with happiness. A parent's greatest wish is to see their children do well. Jiqiang tilted his head, winking mischievously. But we should at least fix the house. Mom and Dad can't live in this old house forever. Fei Jiahao said with a smile. It's a place full of memories. I don't want to leave yet. If you cross your arms. Squinting at his father. Dad, you don't have to go anywhere. But at least we can. Replace the roof. Repaint the walls. Redo pipe asphalt. Nodding. A brand new room where parents can rest comfortably. Jiahao looked at Yuding. Just a slight smile. A glint of sympathy flashed in his eyes. For children, once rescued from the storm of life, now it's a breeze. To those who take them in on a quiet night, bring calm. They sat there. Together, nothing else is needed. Because they understand. No matter how the outside world changes, this home will always be there. Ladies and gentlemen, before the end, I would like to take time out of my time. Follow and listen to today's story. Thank you very much. These are not just simple developments. It's also about humanity, profound emotions and lessons of determination and life sacrifice. Not everyone is born with everything. Not everyone's path is smooth sailing. But it is the difficulties and challenges. It has created strong and resilient talents. Today's story clearly proves it. Love can change fate. Poverty can't stop a strong heart. The roof needs to be built not only with bricks and stones. Solidarity and tolerance are also needed. Those that were once abandoned. Children who don't seem to see a silver lining. Finally found their family. Found their true home. And the most important thing is the love that couples have for their children. Let the child not only grow up healthily, also become a good person who is useful to society. We hope through this story, let everyone realize one thing. No matter how hard life is, as long as there is love and hard work, there is always hope. If today's story touches your heart, please take a moment to leave a comment below, to share your thoughts, your support. Whether it's a thumbs up or a word of encouragement, it's we who continue to bring meaning. Also a great impetus for humanizing the story.